So let's pick through that. I'm joined by Bonnie Glaser, Director of the Asia Programme at the German Marshall Fund. Thanks so much for coming on the programme.
Thanks for having me.
Right, let's try and be as clear as we can, because this is slightly technical, isn't it? But there's a deal by which the US supports Taiwan in the sense that it supports Taiwan's ability to defend itself. And there's been some ambiguity about what that actually means. And we have President Biden saying here, well, in his opinion, it now means that US troops could be involved. What do you make of that?
Well, it's the president's prerogative to make policy, but frankly, the Taiwan Relations Act, which goes back to 1979, when the United States broke diplomatic ties with Taiwan and established them with the People's Republic of China, there is an obligation under that act for the United States to sell arms to help Taiwan to defend itself. We don't actually have an obligation to defend Taiwan. So President Biden, clearly worried about China's military pressure on Taiwan, is seeking to induce caution and to deter Xi Jinping.
And do you think, I mean, the Chinese response has been quite firm. They've seen this as an act of provocation, to put it mildly. What do you make? Does China have a leg to stand on?
Well, I believe that members of Congress in the US or parliaments in Europe should be allowed to visit Taiwan. But I think that it's the overall context that has made China very uncertain about US policy. They believe that the United States is not matching its words with its deeds with its words, because President Biden has repeatedly told President Xi Jinping that he would not support Taiwan independence, that the United States has a one China policy, but Beijing has growing doubts about that.
And do you think it makes any material difference whether the US would actually send its own troops or not, or simply sell and send weapons?
Well, certainly whether or not the United States intervenes with its forces will make a difference in the event of a Chinese attack on Taiwan. We need both. We need Taiwan to acquire weapons and have effective training so that they can defend themselves. It would take a while for US forces to actually arrive, so Taiwan has to hold out. But the question of whether troops are on Taiwan or whether our forces are operating around Taiwan, that is probably not very consequential. It's really US Air Force and Navy that would make the difference in that kind of scenario.
Interesting. And just a final thought from me, if I can. How do the two sides, and perhaps the international community too, go about cooling relations here, or at least cooling the temperature of some of these comments back and forth?
Well, I think that really is a very important question. The Taiwan Strait has been a potential flashpoint since 1949, really, when Taiwan became the home of the Republic of China forces that left mainland China when they were defeated. And we have managed this issue quite well since then. And so I think we need to return to a clear and consistent policy in the US as to what our one China policy is. And Beijing needs to ratchet down tensions. They need to stop putting economic, military, diplomatic pressure on Taiwan. It's the interactive dynamics, really, of all three sides that are driving this potential crisis.
Bonnie Glaser, thanks so much for coming on the programme. Great to have your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.